Violet has been coming to the lake her whole life, since she was a little kid. Every weekend they came for hours at a time. Her family competes against each other to catch the biggest fish. She and her family shared plenty of memories with us, including the water levels they saw throughout the years, the scenery, and how the lake has changed overall. Nowadays, she brings her kids out for the hour-long ride to fish at the State Park Marina. For her, the lake is not only a memorable place, but a source of food. She has taught all of her kids to fish at the lake, which has been especially difficult for her daughter battling a brain tumor. All of Violet's children have caught their first fish at the Utah Lake. Violet calls Utah Lake her home and will continue to come in order to provide food for her family and to enjoy spending time with them. The lake is her safe place. Violet's story is an important narrative to the lake, which we are going to be talking about in our presentation. My name is Ivette and I'm a communication student here at UVU.
My name is Natalee Cervantes. I'm a communication senior. And along with Dr. Maria Blevins, we came up with the research question, what are the narratives and memories that local residents have of Utah Lake?
In this presentation, we're going to be going over the methods we used, historical narratives, negative narratives, positive narratives, and ending with a conclusion.
For methods, we used qualitative research primarily. To start, we conducted 30 interviews along with Dr. Hungerford's team. These interviews also included us transcribing them and coding them for keywords and quotes to fit specific narratives we were looking for. We also did participant observations. We spent 25 hours at Utah Lake. We took pictures of the access points, of what it looked like. We also talked to recreators and partook in activities at the lake. And we also did content analysis of archives and mixed media. This includes looking through newspaper, old archives of people who lived along Utah Lake, looking through podcasts, as well as Google search and social media pages.
This leads us into our historical narratives. We're going to be talking about the Indigenous people, Mormon pioneers, and the importance of the lake.
For the Indigenous people, they were also known as the Lake People. They inhabited Utah Lake and the surrounding areas of Utah Valley. There most specifically were the groups of the Numa people, Shoshone, and Ute tribes. They used the lake as a sacred and spiritual place where they would gather for ceremonies, specifically during the spring when the ice melted and they were able to hunt for fish. And the fish also constituted for 1/3 of their diet. And we also looked into the historical narratives of Mormon colonizers. When they had came to the region, they lived along Utah Lake and looked and saw what the Indigenous people had used the lake for. They partook in fishing and overfishing in Utah Lake. They also had different spiritual practices of their church and other religions, and they also gathered in different social events and had agriculture along the lake.
With the importance of the lake, it brought people together. People would go to the lake to meet new people, to do activities. People would go onto the showboat where they had tours of the lake. People were able to get to the lake easier by public transport. For example, the trolley that took people to the lake. People would go to the lake to fish and to feed their families, and we need to let people know that the lake is still a cool place like it used to be, but unfortunately it's not as cool as it used to be because people now think of it in a negative light. For example, when we did our research, we found these articles that portray the Utah Lake in a negative light. And when we Google searched the Utah Lake, these are some of the questions that were frequently asked. And when we went to the lake, this picture right here of the dirty shoe has a story.
So this is a picture of my shoe. When we went to the lake, we were walking in an area that wasn't really friendly for people to walk in. It was very muddy and the consistency was almost like quicksand, which made my shoes get really dirty and I had been stuck. And this is just an example of how inaccessible the lake is to people. And it is a negative narrative that a lot of people have mentioned, as well as in our interviews, that there needs to be better upkeep at the lake for people to be able to access and walk without difficulty.
And here are some of the negative narratives that people have when we did our interviews. These were some of the negative things they were saying. Like Amy said, I think it's sadly ignored. I wonder if there's a better use for it.
Brooke said it's so dirty and it's not being used like it could be. It almost feels like a waste of space in its current state.
And David said, it's dirty, muddy and murky.
Brandon said it's nothing to do at the lake besides boating.
Hayward said, don't go swimming in the lake, or if you go swimming, make sure you don't have any open cuts or wounds, or don't drink the lake water.
And Monica said contaminated and unsafe.
Catherine said, I'm really saddened by how polluted the lake is. We fish, but we would never eat the fish in the lake because it's just so dirty. It would be nice if people would come here as a destination, like they want to be here. It's here, but it's not really one of the top things you want to really see in Provo because it's just not that nice. When we were interviewing people, this is some of the things they were saying about the lake and how they felt about the lake. However, though, some other people that we interviewed had positive things to say, and we also found some news articles that had positive things to say about the lake. For example, people do triathlons there. There's a life jacket loaner station. People like to drive at the lake. And one of my favorite quotes from one of our interviews was what Ashley said, which was, my favorite moment is usually sitting on my board at sunset at the Utah Lake State Park Marina. It's just really special because you see the sunset going off into the mountains and the sky is usually pink and purple and orange, and it's the best place to be. And when we did other interviews, these are some of the other things people were saying about the lake. For example, Violet said, when I see the water coming down down the canyon, I'm home.
Kevin said, I love the lake for these nostalgic reasons. Going out there as a child with your family, with your parents, with friends, and it's always been a part of your life. So there's just that nostalgic love for it.
Emily said, it's a great family atmosphere.
Timothy said, it's a nice place to come out to enjoy. It's just a beautiful lake.
And this was Timothy's first time at the lake. Violet said, I like coming here and I love fishing here.
Brandon said, going to the lake just gives me the ability to escape from the noise of cars and traffic, to reconnect with that spiritual, natural Mother Earth, and I think we all yearn for it.
And Matt said, it's a lot of fun to play in. These narratives are really important to the lake because these are the type of narratives that will help change other people's narratives of the lake.
And this just goes to tell you that narratives matter. We talked about this with historical, positive, and negative narratives. If we're not able to listen to what people think about the lake and what they would like to see or what they think should change, then we can't be able to engage them in wanting to take action in order to make improvements for Utah Lake. Social science is just as important as the physical science aspects, and we should be able to understand what the community is saying in order to come up with steps to make improvements.
Thank you.